Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Better Late Than Never podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it is better late than never. Uh-oh. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is well. I first, there's a lot of things to be thankful for, Shady. First of all, I want to say welcome to this week's episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I, of course, am one of your hosts, MrBooMStickXL, and with me, who swooped in and saved the day, who has been nothing short of one of the most incredible community members. So Shady from the Sesh Empire. Shady, welcome and thanks again for stepping up big.
Oh, thanks a lot, Boom, for having me. I love coming here. I've never had a bad time coming on the show, talking games with you and the fantastic community you built up over the year or so you've been doing this, man. It's great. It's unfortunate there was some issues with Google early this morning, but we are here now, and we got a hell of a show lined up for you guys.
Yeah, first of all, as I think a lot of people in the chat already know, my wife suffered a bit of an injury yesterday. She was coming out of work, and I just wanted to thank. Well, actually, we wanted to thank the outpouring support of well wishes and concern from this incredible community. Thankfully, her ankle still hurts. Obviously, she has a grade 1 sprain. She's been icing all day. She's been having it elevated. Thankfully, she has a long weekend. She does not go back to work until Tuesday, and hopefully by then she'll at least be able to kind of get around. But I just wanted to thank everybody for that. But you know what? Everyone has been waiting. Unfortunately, Xbox Nation, which a lot of people enjoy, they had the same issue last night. So there was no Xbox Nation. So I know that there are a lot of people in the chat that are just starving for Xbox news. And quite frankly, Shady, based on the information I sent you, there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into the first story that I pulled from Game Rant that was published on Monday on the 20th. And they're claiming that a leaker by the name of Bradle from NeoGAF has apparently revealed all of the games and announcements that will be taking place at Microsoft's E3 2019 press conference. Now, I say this as a caveat, and I think Shady will agree. When we talk about Reset Era, we talk about the 4chan forums, and you talk about NeoGAF, which isn't really used a lot anymore. We have to take everything with a grain of salt. I want people to understand, and I think people understand where I come from. Shady, I think people understand where you come from. When we report this information, it's not news unless Microsoft or one of the bigger companies is actually doing the post. So we're just going to have fun with the information we have in front of us. And I want to talk about the list that he gave. Now, listen, here's the thing, folks. A lot of these games that are on this list are kind of like, well, you would expect it as an Xbox fan. So, Shady, before I get your opinion on this list and the chat's opinion, let me read the list that he came out with. First of all, he says Halo Infinite is going to have a new trailer with a holiday 2020 release date. He has Gears 5 full gameplay reveal with a September release date, which, obviously the leak last week said September 10th. Gears Tactics is going to get a new trailer with a release date, and I'm really hyped for that game. I hope it comes to the Xbox One because I'm going to be playing that. And as much as I would force myself to play with mouse and keyboard, I hope that there's a controller option, because if it could work for Halo, Halo Wars 1 and 2, I don't see why it couldn't work for Gears, considering that it's a little bit of a smaller title. They're going to follow that with Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Again, there's going to be a new trailer with a release date. Bleeding Edge, which is going to be the next thing shown, and that's a new IP from Ninja Theory. It's going to be a cross-gen sci-fi game, which looks amazing. They're going to follow that with The Outer Worlds, which, of course, is multi-plat, but still, obviously they own Obsidian now, so that's a big deal for Microsoft. Then this is where it gets good. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to not only have a full-on gameplay trailer, which I'm really stoked for, but it's going to have a release window reveal. I still think, fingers crossed, Shady, that we get it in 2019, but I think we're going to get it early 2020 if I was a betting kind of a dude. Then they're going to have Age of Empires 4, which they're going to show a gameplay reveal with a 2020 release date. Follow that, and this is big. The Fable reboot tease trailer for the next game, which is not Fable 4, from what we understand. It's an actual reboot from the ground up, which I'm excited. And I think the brand needs that. Before I go any further, Shady, I kind of want to get your opinion on that particular part, because we're going to talk about Fable a little bit later. But in your opinion, how important is it to have a Fable be there in some form or fashion?
I think it is important. The rumors have certainly been circulating for a decent amount of time now, and it would be awesome to see just what it is that they have in mind for what sounds like a reimagined Fable. And I do think that is the way to go personally. I do have to put it out there that I'm not a massive Fable fan. What was going on previous wasn't it wasn't speaking out to me and making me want to play it, but my roommate at the time, he was big time into it. So I did see a decent amount of it. It just wasn't for me. But I hope they come out swinging big time. I hope it is a sort of a spiritual reboot, if you will. Don't call it Fable 4. I think that'll scare a lot of people away because they might have missed Fable 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And sort of feel that that's a necessity, even though I've been told that it isn't. And from what I've seen, it isn't either. But I think numbering games, I mean, it does scare away a certain segment of gamers out there that maybe weren't into the series at the beginning. It worked for God of War. That wasn't a full-blown reboot, if you will, but it was called God of War, and people weren't confused or anything like that. I think it worked really well. It was very clean branding, and I think they should do that with Fable as well. I'm excited to see what they're going to do, man, with this next-gen tech. Playground Games is a very, very technically sound and capable studio. I mean, they have nailed Forza. My God, if they don't even maybe make the best Forza, I said it. So I'd like to see what they can do with an open world adventure game. Like when I play Forza 4, that open world is just so beautiful. I could only imagine actually getting out of the car and walking around and actually having quests and enemies to fight in an environment as detailed as that. It'd be fantastic. So I'm really excited to see what they have. I hope it's something that interests me this time, but if it doesn't, that's fine. I hope they stay true to what it was as well. I don't want them to come out and just totally different game, but it's called Fable. I think that would be a disrespect to the established fan base that has been waiting a long time to see more of something that they enjoy. So I hope it brings what the charm that it had, but maybe something new that entices myself as well. But I am excited.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with everything you said. At the same point, I would love to see, because I agree with the, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about Fable because we do have a whole topic that we're going to go deep in on later on in the show. So let me continue the list. Sea of Thieves is going to show new content. That is a IP, and I've said it publicly. It's not necessarily for me. I do like the what they've added in regards to the Shores of Gold. Personally, I understand that the game may never 100% be for me, where it gives me a single player selfish experience, some people would say, where I didn't have to play with other people. I've heard that Shores of Gold with people, I know that Welsh Gamer, who obviously is going to be back next week, plays it along with Salty, and plenty of other people in this community love it. They love the the friendships that they gain over these games, and that's awesome. But I sometimes just want to go out and do my own thing, and I guess maybe because I'm an older gamer, that first one player games, if you will, appeal to me more. And I don't know if we're ever going to get that with this, with this brand. But I always say this, Shady, not every game is for every gamer. And I'm perfectly okay with that.
Absolutely. Actually, I was going to say most of my time in Sea of Thieves was actually spent alone on my little sloop by myself. But I wasn't doing like the big
the big bases or anything.
Yeah, like
right?
I was just doing the 3 quest lines when it first came out. And that's what I was up to. But I'm not sure this is a thing, but it makes kind of sense to me that now that the arena is out, it might have actually pulled a lot of those pirates, so to speak, outside of the main game that are into it just to sink other ships and battle other ships. They might be more drawn to the arena themselves. So those open seas might be a little more friendly these days than they used to be. Maybe.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, there are some griefers still out there that just enjoy,
ruining your day. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a PG show, but we can say dicks because they say it on a regular TV. So I said it, dicks. Okay, so let's continue, Shady. Battletoads is going to get gameplay and a release date. Now listen, here's the thing, folks. Okay. Battletoads was hard as balls. There's no doubt about it. But if you can give us an updated version with like 2D/3D kind of graphics, make it a 3-player game, which it's probably going to be, unless they add a 4th player and there's a new character to the brothers. That's going to be incredible. It's not a AAA $10 gazillion budget. It doesn't have to be. Okay, smaller games like Battletoads round off all of the the double, the triple, and the quadruple A games that the console's eventually going to get. I hope they continue with this. Then we're going to get a big Project xCloud info dump, and I don't think that's not a bad thing. I think they have to let people know exactly what it is. They have to show some gameplay. Hopefully, it's not like cheap or embarrassing, because every now and again these companies, they have those. Damn, why'd they put that on there kind of a moment? I hope that's not the case. Then they're going to show the baseline specs of the next gen Xbox consoles. I think that is very important. I think it's going to be very, very similar to what they did with the X when they showed that. They may have like a montage of developers, saying, it's a Monster Part 2. I don't know. And then they're going to have a ton of third-party games. But this is where it gets really interesting, Shady. And I'm going to read off what Bradle, or I think that's what it is, says that he has in his opinion, has a high chance of happening at Microsoft's E3 2019 press conference. And this gets me excited. First of all, he says right off the bat that MechAssault, they're going to show a new one. And I don't know, Shady, you've been playing Xbox for many years. MechAssault 1 and 2 on the OG Xbox is fantastic.
Yeah, they were good.
2 unbelievable games. And it's a shame that it's taken this long to get a reboot of some sorts. Then they're going to show Forza Motorsport. And this is supposed to be a tease for the next gen Forza. And I like that because, obviously, in 2019, we're not getting our traditional Forza Motorsport 8. We're going to get that as a launch title from what we understand with the Xbox Anaconda and the Lockhart. And this is where it gets me excited. There is rumor that not only is Capcom going to have 1 game, but they're possibly going to have 2 games on the stage, one of which is Resident Evil 3, the remake, which is being done outside of Capcom, which I'm okay with because the RE engine is what it is. You can't change anything. And then a new Dino Crisis, Shady. And of course, he finishes his point with more Japanese dev games or developed games. What do you think about this list saying that it has a high chance of being there, Shady?
Oh, the list sounds really good. I mean, even if it's not branded MechAssault, just give me a modern gen mech game where we get to build up our own mechs and go out there and give me a story. So I'm fighting lots of wicked AI encounters, but also online. I like to play this type of a game co-op. Like, the mech genre has just somehow kind of been slept on, unless I'm missing something. Like, I don't think there is anything like at all, really. I'm kind of shocked at that. So I would love to see something along that line come. I mean, a Perfect Dark reboot. I absolutely adored that game in the past. I thought that.
We'll talk about that too. We got that. That's in the cards as well, brother.
Okay. We can hold on a little bit on that one, but yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So I think that would be really sweet. Like you said with the xCloud, that does need to be addressed. I hope it's not a lengthy thing. I don't think, demonstrating someone playing a game on their phone or tablet tends to translate well on stage. Same with VR and stuff like that. So they do need to get some pointers out there, maybe pricing, if that's going to be a thing. Let us know what it is. Do we just need to have an Xbox Silver account and buy games from you to have them streamed to us? Or do we need a gold? Is this going to be some form of subscription? Like, they do need to get some details. So I hope they do that. As far as the next gen spec wise and stuff like that, I hope they gave almost no specs at all. I think as far as like, if they want to show off the Anaconda or whatever they're going to call it, I think the best way personally for me to just be absolutely blown away would be show Halo Infinite running on it for 30 seconds. It's like, here's Halo Infinite.
Point, dude. Great point.
Like, it's running on next gen. Just be blatantly obvious with it. And that's it. We just get to see next gen gameplay for 30 seconds of Halo. You don't need to give any numbers at all. I think the game would likely speak for itself visually. and we can just be like, my God, that's next gen. Like, I remember when Watch Dogs did this very thing just before this gen started, almost a year before. They were the first big game to show their trailer using next gen technology. And if it didn't wow the community, I don't know what to say. Everyone was up in arms about Watch Dogs. I mean, say what you will about it, its delivery. I enjoyed the game, but it got people excited, and all it was showing the possibilities of what we're going to be playing. And I think that's what they should do instead of giving numbers and specs and buzzwords like 8K and stuff like that. Don't do that. Just show me something running on it, and let it speak for itself. I think that'd be the best way, because we're still a year and a half out. There's still another E3 before we're even getting these consoles.
Correct. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Get into the guts of it. So don't take up too much time on that. And I hope it's not too technical, because I mean, as much of a gamer as I am and have been doing it for a long time, I'm not a huge tech guy. I hear big numbers and stuff, and it gets me somewhat excited, but I don't really know what a lot of it means at the end of the day. And I really don't think most people that watch this stuff do either. So I just hope they keep it clean as far as that. And then with Capcom, I mean, they've been nailing it recently, like big time nailing it. So if there's going to be a Dino Crisis remake, I hope it's on par with that Resident Evil 2 remake, and it's like ground up, reimagined Dino Crisis, and not just sort of like an up-resed, maybe plays a little bit better. I really want it to be a ground up remake, because they've already come out and shown us just how stellar of a job they can do that kind of stuff. So this list is a maybe list, but it's a nice maybe list. I like to see it.
You know, I agree. Real quick before we get on to first of all, I have to fix my pronunciation. The guy's name is Bralder. I don't know how I butchered that, but you know what? Obviously, it's not been a good day, folks. The fact I'm still sitting here in front of you is still amazing to me. And of course, Shady bailing us out big time. Real quick, Michael C in the chat with the outstanding $10 super chat. He says, to show support for another great show. Dude, listen. The fact that you're in here listening live, still, I have to pinch myself, folks. I'm not being full of shit. I honestly can't believe people enjoy what I do, but it really is heartwarming. And the super chats, they really do help out. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, real quick, Boom, I forgot to mention that maybe, unless this is someone with the chat, you go right ahead. This is your show. But I was going to say that Forza DLC that they might tease. Do you have anything in mind that you might like to see?
Yes.
And if it was, say, a quasi sequel to Horizon 3's Hot Wheels mode.
Yeah,
would you be excited for that?
Yeah,
would you?
Yeah,
I think they should go that road. I really hope they do, because Hot Wheels, just as the toy, there's so many different types of cool track variations and neat little gadgets and stuff that they can incorporate, not to mention all the cool cars and stuff. So I kind of hope they take that and just blow it up even bigger myself. I'd be so happy with it.
You know, I'm going to take the ball from you and run to the end zone right now, because what I would love to see, you know, growing up, you know, I had a lot of Hot Wheels. My brother was more of the car kid growing up. I was more of the Star Wars and G.I. Joes and Transformers and Thundercats and He-Man, stuff like that. That's what I played with as a kid. Of course, I'm an 80s kid. Everyone knows that. But what I would really enjoy about the next Forza Horizon 4 expansion, besides being Hot Wheels, and you kind of really hit on it, you know, when you look back, and this is, I mean, you're going back a while. You go back into like the late 80s, early 90s, where cars with boys, with kids was a big thing. And, you know, they've had so many different sets, jungle themes, space themes, you know, winter wonderland themes. I would love to see the next expansion be so big and so, you know, with so much track that you could logistically go into different parts of the track and it would be a different theme. Does that make sense?
That would be cool. It does. And you know, when you said how you want it to be so big, as soon as you said that, I was like, what if it was so small and it was like Micro Machines with Forza physics graphics, and we're driving around on pool tables and in kitchens, kind of like what the Micro Machines game is.
Yes.
But bring the Forza engine would be kind of cool. That.
I like yours just as much as I like mine.
Like a total toy room aspect of, if you will. Like we have the Hot Wheels, maybe even just shrink it down so we're racing around living rooms and through someone's house, up and down the stairs. Like I think that would be a really cool aesthetic.
That actually would be wicked. You know, you drive past garbage cans that are humongous, or tennis balls that are 3 times the size of the car, so you would feel small in a big world. That is actually cool, dude. But you know what? Real quick, Pray for Life with the outstanding $10 super chat. He says, keep up the good work. Great show. Thank you very much for the super chat. But of course, just being here in the chat, talking with other gamers and having a good time. But you know, Brawler had a second list, Shady. And this is an exciting list. And he said it has a smaller chance of happening in E3. But I think that because they really have to blow the fans out of the water. Like I said, listen, I understand Microsoft already knows what they're going to do. And little Boomstick here isn't going to give, a 30-year veteran like Phil Spencer any, advice that he hasn't heard from a gazillion people. But I'm going to say this. As an Xbox fan who has been clobbered this generation with, the media and, of course, the horrible at times Sony fan base. And again, folks, this is not every Sony player. I want people to understand that. I know a lot of Sony fans that just like gaming. But with that said, the terrible one, the toxic, the vicious, nasty, toxic Sony fan base, and there's a lot of them, unfortunately, have really went to town on the Xbox fans. And you know what? This is an opportunity for the Microsoft company, for the platform, for the fan base to stand so tall that you can see us over the rising sun. And that's what they need to do. So this next list is interesting, Shady. He goes on to say that, and there's, again, smaller chance that this could happen, that they might show off the next Rare game in development. And I think that they could do that with a trailer. They are working on something. We know they're working on 2 games. One, of course, is Sea of Thieves, which they're going to continue to support. And that game it's a completely different game from when it launched. It's unbelievable what they've been able to do. And they are working on something else. The question is, what are they working on? And of course, you said it earlier, and you were excited, and I'm excited. Perfect Dark reboot, and it's reportedly in development at Delilah Studios with Rare supervising. And we're also hearing, Shady, and we'll get into this a little bit later, that it's going to be third person, like kind of like a Sam Fisher kind of a thing. I'm excited. And then he finishes up this with game studio acquisitions possibly being announced. And the 3 studios he has is IO Interactive, which we've heard forever, Asobo is studio, which we've heard, and Relic Entertainment.
What does Asobo make there?
I don't know.
I'm unfamiliar.
I don't know exactly what they make, but you know what? They're a smaller dev. Okay. And that's what they're looking for. And like I said, I really think that they have so many. And again, we're going to get into this later on. So many incredible IPs that they can work with, that are in their back catalog that could use a new coat of paint, dust it off, get a new paint, put some new engine parts in there, put it out there for the people to appreciate. There is a big Xbox fan base, folks. It may not be as big as Sony, but we're here. So, again, Game Rant, which of course is where I pulled the story, they are cautioning fans to, of course, take this leak with a massive grain of salt. And while a lot of the information, Shady, does seem plausible, it is possible that, of course, none of it is true. We're not going to know until E3 in a couple of weeks. But in your opinion, Shady, for me, my mouth is watering right now in excitement, simply because I'm a huge Xbox fan. Of course, I have the Switch. Of course, I have the PS4 Pro, and I enjoy those equally. But the Xbox is where I lay my head at night.
Yep.
And it's where all my games are. I'm almost at 900 games that I have for the console on, what do I have? 14 terabytes worth of space. So I like the Xbox. In your opinion, with what we've gone over so far in the beginning of the show, are you even more excited that we might get some of these impressive announcements?
I am. This is shaping up to be a really good show, even just from the leaks. And the leaks don't sound crazy. They're not like, and Xbox is coming out and it reveals that they bought Sony, which is why they're not at E3. Like, there's nothing so out there. Almost all the leaks seem very believable. Some of them even like obvious. You know what I mean? So, and it's still exciting. It's still really, really, really exciting to me as primarily an Xbox gamer, but just as a video gamer in general. It looks like we are going to get a stellar lineup of games to see, plus all the surprises that, haven't leaked, let's say. I think this is a great lineup myself. I did mix up the two lists. I was looking at them as you were talking, which is why I brought up Perfect Dark before. But like I was saying, I love that franchise. I didn't care so much for the 360 one at all. I thought
I
that
know
was
a lot of people didn't, dude. It
yeah, it was
wasn't
a
just
very
you.
serious misstep. Like I thought the campaign had a few endearing moments. I did enjoy parts of it, but that multiplayer was a mess, I thought.
Yeah.
But the one on the 64, I mean,
It's still
at the
considered
time,
it's a cult classic, dude.
absolutely. I always took it as like the unofficial GoldenEye sequel. It improved on
Yes.
that game in every single way. It brought in lots of cool modes and gadgets, which were very fresh at the time. The King of the Hill and the laptop gun and stuff like that. I remember playing against the Dark Sims, and the description of the difficulty was literally they will cheat to win. And it was not lying. My God, you're going in there against some guys, the Dark Sims, that had the dual magnums, and you could hear them shooting these magnums, and it sounded like a Gatling gun going off. And when I had the dual magnums, as fast as I could pull the trigger, it sounded like two dual magnums going off. And not this machine gun where the guy's jumping off of, ledges and headshotting everybody. It was outrageous. We had such a good time. So I would love to see that game come back, and just given the proper treatment, the just make it insane. Like, oh my God, I love it. The third person is totally fine for me. I think that's a big thing in today's world is third person story driven adventure games. And well, Joanna Dark, she fits perfectly. She's a good character. I think the story is very almost Splinter Cell-esque, which we're also kind of missing this gen as well as sort of that third person.
Sam Fisher,
game,
man,
right?
that guy's been on a vacation for too long, man.
That's right. So I would certainly take a new Perfect Dark. My God, I would love it. I'm excited. Those acquisitions sound cool. Zemi in the chat said that Asobo, they actually just made a Plague Tale. So
good on him. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
Listen,
and that's reviewed very well. Like very, very well. A couple guys in the community, Zemi included, really have awesome positive things to say about that game. I'd like to check it out myself, but the price is a little steep for now, so I'll wait for a sale. But so that's what they're done. Those are three great studios. They got good names. I do wish that Crytek was still on his
Oh my God, dude, you literally read my brain.
Yeah, that just I love the sound of it. I understand that they're a shell of them former selves, but I love Crysis. Their engine can put out some beautiful graphics and stuff. So I just like to see what they could do with it. They fit the mold for the companies that Microsoft has been nabbing up as well recently. So we'll see what happens, man. We're so close. I'm already kind of losing sleep at night. My mind starts just going, and I love E3. Like it is my favorite time of the year for me. It's like a big weekend. I got people that come over. We have a big party. We watch it all. We watch our favorite trailers. We talk about everything. Like it is such an amazing event. Every year for me. I'm looking forward to it this year. And Xbox, I'm pretty sure, I'm feeling it in my bones, if you will. They're going to deliver big time.
Yeah, no, real quick, Shan786 with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says, Boom and Shady, give the people a woo. And and of course, in the vein of one of my favorite wrestlers, he's a dirty bastard too, Ric Flair. Woo! There you go, Shan.
That's right,
you, brother.
Woo! Woo! And I'm glad the man is still alive. I'm ashamed to say last week I fell for a fake tweet that unfortunately Ric Flair passed, but I retweeted that garbage and then instantly found out that it wasn't. And I'm like, well, now I'm an asshole for sharing that, stuff. So I apologize to the community out there. And today I saw that he's feeling good, and man, I gotta say, he's looking good. The man is ripped.
He does.
He's like, what? He's kicking 80's door down. He's more ripped than I've been in my entire life. I feel ashamed. But yeah,
great.
Woo!
Great. Well, listen, you know what? Let's move on to the next topic, of course. And I pulled this from one of my favorite sites, comicbook.com, where new Gears 5 information has leaked and broken. And you can't even say leaked because the Coalition put it out, and they revealed some new enemies that looked awesome. Of course, the one of the enemies is named the Stump, which the Coalition posted on Twitter, and a secondary video that showed off the amazing graphics of Gears 5. And I'm going to say this, Shady, in what I hope is the start of a steady, faucet-breaking part of streaming information when it comes to Gears 5. I don't want it all spoiled. I want some surprises for E3 like everybody else, but the more information we have of this game, the better it is, I think, for everyone. And the enemy that is known as the Stump looks to be some sort of a grotesque combination of something biological mixed with metal and machinery. and it does look like it's like a unification of the DBs and the Swarm. And according to the text that accompanied the reveal with the enemy that was shown off on the Gears of War Twitter account, it says it's best to hide if you see one coming your way. Holy shit. If you can't beat these things, then I guess you're going to need multiple players to try and take one of these down. You're certainly not going to be chainsawing through these guys. And you know what? We don't know much about the stump yet, from what the actual picture looked like, where it looked like it had 3 legs and a bunch of guns, which is weird. But you know what? There was a cool video that had actually my head spinning. And obviously, the stump isn't the first reveal of the new enemy in Gears 5. And if everyone remembers, in this video that they put out a couple of weeks ago, they said something about the rejects. Rejects from what? I don't know. They're a little smaller, but they look really, really fast. And of course, getting two new enemies is basically a crack in the door of what we're gonna see with Gears 5. And I don't think I'm gonna get as many boos. I think people are coming around on the open world aspect that I personally want from Gears 5. I think we're gonna get it. But I am going to ask you this, Shady. The Coalition is promising very new and amazing Gears 5 information at E3. The short video completely blew my mind. If everyone didn't see it, it's Kate in a kitchen. And as she's being attacked and shooting, there are pots and pans falling off, which that's physics bananas. And I know, Shady, you're into that kind of shit.
Oh, yeah.
You really enjoy where the world is alive around the character that you're playing. And I think that's more, immersive than we've ever gotten in Gears. Listen, it's safe to assume that graphically it's probably going to be one of the best looking games this generation. It's certainly going to be the best looking Gears in the entire series. How hyped are you, Shady? And chat, let me get a 1 out of 10 how hyped you are for Gears 5 this September.
I am insanely hyped myself. I adore Gears of War. It's one of my favorites. Just gaming experiences. It's got it all, man. It's got that single player if you want, the cooperative, which I think is amazing. Gears of War cooperative is almost the best. Like, I almost like it more than Halo cooperative. I'm not sure exactly what it is that's happening in it, but my God, the Gears of War cooperative is just so rewarding to me. I love just seeing my buddies, sawing a guy up from the side to save the day, or you see their bullets tearing in and you join in on the same enemy and you're both just spraying them down with your I love Gears of War, and this new one isn't just more of the same. And even if it was more of the same, I would have been excited. But this seems to be really remixing things up in all the good ways. Way bigger playing environments. I've heard like 20 times bigger playing areas. That's pushing open world's door down, in my opinion.
It sure is, dude.
Like, that's a big sandbox at the least anyways. So I am very excited to get in there. I would like to see how they're going to design this world. If it's so big and open, is it just littered with waist-high cover absolutely everywhere? Or has the gameplay changed a little bit that it's not all about that cover anymore, and it's not necessarily a cover-based shooter, while there's still obviously going to be cover in the game? Maybe it's evolved into you can actually take a lot of guys on without having to do that and without feeling like a 900-pound tank in the process. I'm not sure. I'm really excited. I'd like to see where the story is going. These new enemy types are creepy, to say the least, to have like the mechanical aspect mixed in with this new swarm that just seems to, be taking over whatever it wants. I think that's pretty cool. Almost like the flood from Halo, if you will. I think
it reminds me of John Carpenter's The Thing, kind of.
Oh,
right?
yeah. He's got all the tendrils and like the
it's nasty.
Almost the vines and everything. Like they look gross. It's just like almost looks like something without skin. And I'm excited for that. All the different enemy types. I think, what'd you call them? The castaways or the
rejects?
The rejects. Yeah, just the name alone. I think that's really cool. Like the swarm and stuff, they're all hatched from pods. So I can imagine all these like sort of botched genetic things coming out, and maybe they're just like anything goes monsters that just didn't work out. Instead of just putting them down, they unleash them onto the world like some rabid dogs or something. I'm not sure. I'm really, really, really hyped. I really am. I hope this game has more than the 2-player co-op. That's my big hope, and I hope it brings back horde mode with a vengeance, and Like,
Yeah.
I hope it has a lot of variations of the Horde. I do like times where you do have to, you build up your area of the map that you'd like, and you put down your fortifications and your turrets and stuff. But I do miss the original Horde, which was just plain. I don't even want to use that word because it makes it sound boring, but like no modifiers and no fortifications. You just go in and you fight waves that are spilling in from the edges of the maps, and I kind of get to move around the area more freely. I do miss that part of the Horde as well. So I hope they bring that back, and maybe a new mode that we haven't seen as well. But man, am I excited. I have a gut feeling we're going to get a beta this E3 as well.
That would be really cool. I'm gonna say this. I normally don't play Gears online. I know that's like everyone's like, "Oh, I can't believe it." Listen, I appreciate that every game. See, that's the thing that you have to really tip your cap when you think about Microsoft's big three, right? You look at Forza, and you look what they did with Forza Horizon 4. Forget the graphics, forget the car count, forget where it is. Let's talk about the fact that there are real-time players, not drivatars, real-time players in your game that you can hook up with, right? That's amazing. Okay. You look at what Halo has done since literally its inception, because if you remember, Halo 1 on the PC had multiplayer. That didn't come to us until Halo 2. But and of course, we go talk about Gears. Gears, strong, incredible characters, amazing story, amazing atmosphere, and a second to none online. So you look at what they've accomplished with all of their games, and you can call them games as a service. You can call them whatever you want. You look at what they did with Sea of Thieves, right? That's another one it's going to be a big one for years to come. And we're getting different tidbits, and we'll talk about Fable a little bit later. That Fable is going to be an open world, big living world kind of a game with multiplayer possible. I don't think it's going to be PvP. It might be kind of like a PvE kind of a thing, which I'm hoping. But it's I love what Microsoft does, and I'm expecting big things from Gears 5. The coalition is being run by people who worked on all of the Gears franchises, so I am completely confident that everyone there knows what they're doing. Rod Ferguson, obviously he was involved in the original Gears, and he is the studio head. I have complete faith in Rod. I think I think that everyone there is gonna knock it out of the park. But real quick, before moving to the next topic, I want to say thanks again to Shan786 with the outstanding $2 super chat. He says Gears 5 is going to be the best looking game on the console. Yeah, I agree with that. And AZ Brown with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says Boom and Salty. Well, actually, it's Shady, but no problem, dude. Boom and Shady. What would be a complete shock for you announced at E3? For me, it's Perfect Dark by the Coalition. And again, dude, AZ Brown, that's a great point, because they have been rumored. This rumor started in 2017. If you remember, they even put something out going back a while that they're working on another game. Then they quickly took that down. It is possible that they could be working on it. And if that's the case, oh man, Shady, let me ask you that, again, we're going to talk about Perfect Dark. You know what? I'm going to hold off that question because it's going to ruin the Perfect Dark segment that we have. I want, again, it's there's so much information, folks. I'm like gushing here in excitement. Real quick, Ricardo Willis, outstanding $2 super chat, just stopped by to say what's up. Hello, Ricardo. Thanks for being here, dude. We greatly appreciate it. But Shady, I want to talk about Halo Infinite for a second. That's going to be a big game for me personally. I'm a huge Master Chief fan. We're getting the return of using Master Chief. No offense to anyone that enjoys Locke. I just think that was not well planned out for 343 and Halo 5. But apparently, Halo Infinite is going to be releasing in holiday of 2020. And it makes perfect sense to me, to be honest with you, because we're expecting the Xbox Anaconda and the Lockhart to release. And you know why this is important, JD? This is the first Halo to launch with an Xbox console since the OG Xbox, and I think it's going to be really big. As you know, the idea, Shady, that Halo Infinite is going to be at E3 in some form or fashion, and I think in a big way, is pretty much a given. And I think it's also plausible to understand that a holiday 2020 release of this game is going to be big for both of these new consoles, because obviously, yes, you'll be able to play it on your X. You might be able to even play it on your OG Xbox One. From what again, it's a family of consoles, so it's possible. But I am gonna say that having a Halo, something special, Shady, about having a Halo game, regardless of what it's called, with a new piece of hardware for Xbox. How excited does that make you?
Man, it's as excited as I can get as a gamer. Halo for me is it's so big. It's so huge. I've read all the books. I love, adore. Like the English words don't describe it properly. I'm into Halo big time, like really, 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 really big time. And just that little tease of what the engine is capable of that we got last year left me wanting so much more to see what they're actually going to do with the game, and not just tease us with Halo. There was a lot of nostalgia in that demo they showed last year. I'm not sure that's going to be the 100% look of everything, the Chief's armor and stuff, but man, did it look crisp and detailed. And I'm super hyped to see what they can bring. This is the biggest thing for me this E3, is to see what they have done with Halo. This is the longest we have ever waited for an official Halo game as well, since the entire series has started, which is crazy to me considering just how huge the series really is. I think it was necessary. I believe it was Bonnie Moras, the head of 343, came out and she explained why they went from the ground up with this slipspace engine, and that's because the old one was just being used for too long. Like, we see a lot of people harping on Call of Duty for using the same engine, albeit it gets upgraded and updated. It is still the same engine at its core, and a lot of people would like to see some of these game engines just ditch the old and come out with something totally brand new. Give me a brand new Skyrim engine, as an example, Elder Scrolls or something. There's a lot that goes on with these things, and they're expensive. They're just very, very, very expensive, which is why I think we've heard those rumors of like a $500 million budget.
And that's been confirmed. PS, by the way, and Brad Sams, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, at first was like, you know what, I'm not sure, and then he did a video later that week where he confirmed that is in fact $500 million budget has been confirmed by him.
Yeah, I think the engine being built from the ground up is a big, big, big reason for that. And the reason they can justify that form of investment is because obviously this engine, once being built, which it has, will be used for obviously multiple Halo games, if not even multiple IPs from within Microsoft. This could become their in-house engine if it ends up working really well and it's easy to play around with, which I would assume they would build it to do those things. When you're doing something from the ground up, do it right. So like Halo, I'm just so excited. Like, my words are failing me here. I'm the things that I want to see, as I really, really, really want to see a big, big, big open world hub, similar to what we got in ODST, where we had the city and you could roam around the city and fight different roaming bands of the Covenant and stuff. And then when you wanted to do the missions, you went to the appropriate spot, talked to who you had to talk to, and then the standardized Halo mission fired up. I love that. I think Far Cry does it as well. They have a giant open world, and then when the campaign starts to play, those missions, they're very guided, your traditional campaign levels with the narrative and everything else that people enjoy. And I think Halo would be perfect for that. Having read the books like I have, the way they describe the way that the Spartans operate is very Spec Ops. It's not always a tank running down the middle of the battlefield laying waste. Like, there is a lot of sneaking around and maybe letting this Covenant patrol pass so you can get by and stuff, which I think an open world setting would allow that sort of stuff to play out, as opposed to just the levels, if you will, the actual campaign level, where you're just you're meant to go through and kill everybody. But with an open world, you can do just so much awesome stuff. I have no idea what the setting of this game is going to be. It'd be cool if there was maybe like a Halo ring that we were on.
Yeah,
and you gotta
that's
go.
what I'm hoping. I'm actually hoping that they're on a Halo ring of some sort.
You could have all the biomes under the sun with a Halo ring. You could really do anything that they wanted. I think it would also lend itself to Battle Royale. Now, I know 343 has come out in the past and said the only BR we are interested in is the battle rifle, right? And everyone was like, yeah, no battle royale, because people are somehow burned out of a game mode. Like, it's just a game mode like deathmatch to me.
That's all it is.
If you enjoy it, you do. If you don't,
deal out of it.
Yeah, I welcome it. I'm not addicted to it, but I think Halo would lend itself extremely well to that mode. It's got all the vehicles. I think it'd be cool to have actual roaming AI enemies as well as you're doing it. So You have to choose whether to engage them or hide from them. If you engage them, it gives away your position, things like that. Just have the whole thing taking place on a Halo ring. It'd be really neat. And the reason I think that they are actually doing it was after they said that the only BR they're interested in was the gun. Shortly after that, they announced that they've partnered up with another game studio that's about 100 devs strong. And they gave that other dev studio full access to all the assets in the game, all the tech, everything that they're using. They have this other studio also using. So what is this other studio developing side by side with 343 that's Halo oriented? I think
Pretty
343.
interesting. I would love it to be some sort of a side story kind of a game, maybe an ODST 2 or something of that nature.
That'd be sweet. Even what if it was like they did that Spartan Ops in Halo 4, which I thought was really good. It had a few missteps, but I think if they went all in on it, that type of storytelling and gameplay has a lot of future and a lot of potential to it. But I would really be down with the battle royale if they came out and said that that's what they were doing. I wouldn't there would be nothing but a smile on So Shady's face. Let's say that, because I think that the mode would really, really go well in Halo. It would just play so good. But that's my number one this year. Any other year, it would be more Cyberpunk, but we saw a lot of that last year. Right. And I mean, my God,
it's time for Halo. It's Halo.
That's right. That's right. With a new Halo, a new engine, and if they were to take my recommendation and actually show us this sucker running on the Anaconda,
that's a great point.
Oh my God, I can only imagine. And I can
they could do something very similar to what Sony just did, right? Where they showed Spider-Man loading on the PS4 Pro and then loading on supposedly a PlayStation 5 hardware specs, right? Where it was 8 seconds to like 0.8 seconds, right? It was like literally a snap your finger and you loaded. So they could be like, okay, folks, the way I would do it, and this would get people would be running, it'd be pandemonium in the seats. If Phil Spencer comes out and says, okay, yeah, Bonnie Wars from 343 to come on, they show the game. I don't care if it's 2 minutes, I don't care if it's 6 minutes, I don't care if it's got to be at least a minute. I won't say 30 seconds. I'd be pissed. But if they show it, and then Phil comes back and says, thanks, Bonnie. Really appreciate you showing that to us. It's early. It's going to be a great game. And that's just want to confirm that that's running on the Xbox Anaconda. People go, bah! People start, beating each other like it was like WrestleMania. And I'm excited for that. Real quick, though, Graphic God, very good friend of the channel, great friend of this community, incredible artists. He actually dropped a really awesome question that I want to get to, just not now. And I want to read it, and we'll come back to it in a little bit, because I actually have an original topic I wrote for today's show that's good. That's actually fits this question perfect. He says, if you two could get your wish, what type of new IP would you like for Xbox to announce, and who would you like to be the developer? So I have a really good one. Again, it's an original written piece, but I want to continue with Halo. Great question, Jay. Really appreciate you being here, brother. Listen, I'm going to say this. As important as Gears 5, the presentation is going to be, as important as Ninja Theory's, a reveal of the game that they're supposedly going to show off, I think that the most important aspect of this E3 conference is to reel the fan base in once again for Halo. I cannot stress this to the fans in the chat, which we have 150 people watching. So thank you, considering this was a cluster F of a day with Google Hangouts not working. So thank you so much for everyone being here. But it's imperative, in my opinion, that they go balls to the wall with a Halo Infinite reveal, because, listen, say what you want. Halo 5 left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, me being one of the people, okay? Simply because graphically, it was gorgeous. It played like you would expect a Halo to play. But what I did not like is the fact that 75% of the game was Locke. And I'm not saying he's a bad character, but he's a good secondary character. I'm not playing Halo 5 for Locke. I'm playing Halo 5 for Master Chief and his continued story with Cortana. That's what I wanted to see, and it just didn't feel like a proper Halo game to me personally. So in your opinion, Shady, and again, I know that you're gonna go to town on this, how imperative, how important is it for Microsoft to really just get back the fans that lost confidence in the brand of Halo?
I think it's extremely important. I don't think Microsoft can treat Halo as just kind of a guaranteed thing and just sort of do it by the numbers. It needs to be something of a spectacle. You know what? Like they need to be going all in. This is their flagship franchise. This is the one thing that everyone associates with Microsoft and Xbox more than any other game character, more than anything else. I mean, Master Chief, he's up there in the echelon of characters, like even Mario and Zelda and stuff like that. Like he really, really is. I think he stands out much more than a Nathan Drake or most of the characters from Sony's. I mean, Kratos is very close. I think he's very close, but a lot of Sony's characters are based in reality. They're people that we can relate to. They're not superhero characters. The Chief is a superhero and needs to be treated as such, and in his games and the way that they're treated, I think they need to be an absolute spectacle to behold. I don't think it's that hard to do, to speak. Like the mountain of fans of Halo are huge, whether you're on the PlayStation side, as long as you haven't exclusively been there your entire time. If you've ventured out in your days and played Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, 4, Reach, even 5, like they are damn good.
They are.
It pains me to say it, but like the AI in the Halo on heroic or legendary, it just blows any other shooter's AI out of the water.
It makes you work. It makes you work and makes you afraid to turn a corner.
It's very dynamic. Like if there's an elite in the pack, the grunts are all aggressive and their aim is more on point. And if you were to kill that elite, they were to scatter. Like it's they tend to push the narrative of the battle a little bit more than most games do, where you just play whack-a-mole with these guys, and the difficulty is just how much damage they deal out. Where I just find the AI in Halo is very dynamic.
It's an intelligent AI.
It's good, and it kind of sucks to say that because I mean, Halo is old. It's been around for a long time, and I would have loved to see the AI at least be at Halo's level in most games, and it isn't, and that saddens me. So I'm excited to see how much they've maybe pushed that, but they need to come out and just, I mean, fireworks, the whole meal deal. They do have that TV show, which is going to likely launch very close to the launch of this game. I believe it's being done by Stars, and they, as a content creator for just TV and stuff, they're saying this is the biggest show they've ever done. It has the biggest budget they've ever gone in, the most effort, the most, like they are looking at this like this could be their Game of Thrones, if you will. And I am so excited to see what is coming from this, because I mean, they announced this Halo show damn near at the beginning of this gen, and it was always kind of like, is it even happening anymore? And if you've been paying attention for the last year or so, there has been some details and some, concrete guarantees it's coming. So I think that is going to come around the same time as this game, which is going to help permeate the zeitgeist of it's not just a game. There's more to it for people to explore and get involved in. Maybe people that just see the show end up becoming a gamer, or the other way around, of course. I'm super hyped. I think they're going to deliver big time on this. I hope it's more than just some gameplay. I want a banging trailer that I'm going to watch 200 times minimum before it comes out. I think that's one of the E3 has shifted, I think, from a lot of trailers that are already pre-made and they roll them to a lot of on-stage live gameplay, which is cool because it lets us see the game being played. And, if it's live and they're not lying, you kind of get a gist of what it really, really is. They're not going to be downgrades, maybe galore and stuff. But I miss the times when we got an E3 and at the end of it, I had like a dozen actual 1 to 2.5 minute trailer that had a wicked soundtrack and just hot scenes from just fired me up, man. It was there to do nothing but hype, and we're missing a lot of that. The last couple E3s, I'm walking out with only like 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 trailers that I can rewatch 100 times. That's a me problem. But I love a good trailer where I will sit there for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes more, and just watch it on repeat and just get endlessly hyped. This hype cycle, man. I love it. And I hope they bring that with Halo, Gears, every game this E3. I want to see live gameplay, extended gameplay, and a nicely edited, tight, sweet trailer myself. But Halo, man, I'm so excited. To be honest, a lot of people say that I'm just setting myself up to be let down, but I don't care. Being hyped feels too damn good. I'm an adult about it. If it's not exactly as I want, that's fine. I think they're really going to deliver something special though this time with Halo.
Mr. Kima in the chat was first. I want to say thanks for being here, dude. Greatly appreciate the support you always show the channel. He says, Halo Infinite slip space engine showcase with ray tracing. I mean, listen, I love the idea. I think that's what Shady is just talking about. You go out there and you show the game running on, and like I said, I think his point of telling everyone, yeah, this folks just want you to know. This isn't running on the PC. This is running on the Anaconda. People are going to be falling over themselves. I'm going to be one of them. And I think it's important. I think a big showcase. You kind of, this is kind of one of those pimp my ride moments. You know what I'm saying? It is your flagship title. It still is. It's probably always going to be one of the biggest pillars that hold up the platform. And you got to show the people, man. You got to go crazy with this E3 because the world will be watching because no one else is going to be there of Microsoft's size. Sure, Nintendo is going to do their thing, but we know that half it's going to be pre-taped. Then they're going to have their Treehouse event. You know what I'm saying? And they've already outlined what they're doing. Microsoft really needs to come and just go crazy, like rip off the shirt, whole kind of a crazy thing.
They do. I think one of those ways they could do, Boom, is make the environment of Halo just like quadruple the vibrancy and the detail and like the livingness. And they're saying that they are. It's a living, breathing world.
They showed all
animals
the animals for a reason, dude.
Yeah, and like that excites me. If I feel like I'm actually walking around in a truly alien environment, kind of like what Avatar delivered in the movie form, or felt like a real alien environment that you were existing in this movie in. I think that would be just so fantastic. So good, so good. Like the environment to me has the potential to be the true hero of the reveal, not even just the chief, but the world we're going to explore.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think showing life in the world, outside of destroyed, weapons and tech from each side, is going to be important. I do hope. I know people will agree with me on this. I think that the Flood needs to return. I think we need to see the return of the Flood. They've been really running silent for quite some time. I'd love to see them incorporate the Atriox from Halo Wars 2.
Just the look, the whole look of all the armor, the Covenant, the look of the UNSC troops and the gear in Halo Wars 2 was perfect. If they nailed, take that aesthetic into my new shooter, and I'd be happy because I didn't like the look of the Marines at all in Halo 5. A lot of the elite armor started to look a little silly to me. I just like that. The more old school traditional Halo look, just make the graphics, unbelievable, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But I want to move on to the next topic, and I think you're going to dig this one, chat, and of course, Shady. A Perfect Dark reboot is, in fact, supposedly in development, and this is something I've been clamoring for quite some time, dude. Joanna Dark, man, she is a character that has been out of the spotlight for quite some time. And for years, there has been rumor that a new Perfect Dark has been in development, but we haven't seen anything yet. It's been talk about really trying to pull your, do your own dental work. We haven't been able to get anything out from the coalition or anyone for that matter. But according to the alleged industry insider, there is in fact a Perfect Dark reboot in development, and it could show up at E3 2019. And I again, it's one of those games that people are not expecting, but are kind of expecting. And I think it would be great to reboot this character, show the world, because listen, when you think of female characters, right, there's some that come to mind, right? You think, of course, Lara Croft right away. I think of Cortana, Ellie from The Last of Us. Samus, oh my God, great one, dude. Samus from Metroid. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think she's a fantastic character. Listen, I can go on all day long.
That's not even bringing in the fighters, like Chun-Li and Orchid and Katana and Melina. Like, they're endless. There are some really, really strong ladies
again,
in the gaming world.
The female gaming character is very well represented. And I think that bringing back Joanna Dark And you got to remember the last time she was on a game that anyone remembers was the N64. Of course, it was a launch title, Perfect Dark, for the Xbox 360. Wasn't that great of a game. Wasn't the worst game I've ever played, to be honest, but it wasn't what a lot of people were expecting in a retelling, if you would. And I think to see her with, you got to remember, the way the games look now, Shady. I mean, you look at some of the most, but you look at what they're doing with Cyberpunk 2077. It's just gorgeous. You look what they did with The Witcher 3, absolutely stunning. You look at what they're doing with so many of these other games to bring Joanna Dark back to the masses and also reintroduce a very strong female lead character to the gaming space. Got to remember, we're a lot of people in the chat are older like me. Now, I'm the old man in the room, and I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? You're a bit of an older gamer. We remember Joanna Dark and who she is and what she stood for, but there are so many gamers that never had a chance to learn about her. This is a golden opportunity to kind of, kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, right? Shady, you satisfy the older fan base that played, one of the best multiplayer games in the 64 version of Perfect Dark, and then you get to introduce this very strong female lead character in a new game on the same lines of, like, I may say, a Splinter Cell. How does that excite you as a gamer?
That's really good, man. I mean, we're back on Perfect Dark. I myself have almost spoiled this own topic twice this very show because it is a very, very close franchise to my heart. I loved it. Growing up on the 64, that game to me and my buddies was there was nothing like it. It was so, so, so good. I mean, I was also in my, early 20s during the beginning of the 360 gen. And I remember that steelbook case of Joanna looking pretty good there. I thought, she's a nice looking girl, but that's beside the point. I mean, on that whole women-led video games, that's become a very popular thing today, which is a good thing because let's be honest, in the world of video games, it was a little bit of a unbalanced seesaw when it came to just who we could play as in these games. And recently, it's become a lot more, let's call it equal. Like it just really is. It's just not an important thing. It's just now you get to play as either you have a choice or you have characters that are built well. I find that the lady characters in today's games, they don't feel like tropes. They're not there as just pure eye candy or something like that. Like they're well developed characters, and I enjoy playing as them.
And they could logistically run their own stories with just as well as a dude.
Yeah, that's right. Like I have no problem with that. So on that note, like it works great because they have this strong, well-known, nostalgia-driven, beloved female character that they could bring back, which fits just so well into the modern way of gaming.
Yes,
and also really plucks at that nostalgia string for a lot of people as well. So, like you said, it's kind of a two birds with one stone, and a lot of things they can't do that because if you start to pull back from older IP. Just because of the way the climate was in gaming back then, a lot of it will be male driven and you'll have to change up characters and stuff, which isn't always the most popular decision to make. So Joanna Dark, I think she's perfect to make a comeback myself. As I mentioned earlier, it's a spy game at its core. You work for like some crazy futuristic spy agency, that's out there keeping the world safe. And I think it would work great in a third-person setting where we get to see our character. You get the chance to do a lot of cool customizations and stuff.
Yes.
And if it's something Splinter Cell-esque, I think that would be fantastic because, well, we just don't have a Splinter Cell this gen yet anyways. But I think there's a good market for that. Because of the sci-fi nature of it, they can really go all out on the aesthetic with the neon and everything else like that, with whatever future world they decide to base it off in, all the cool gadgets. Like I think that the franchise has just so much potential to come back in a big way. And I really hope that rumor is true. Like first person, third person, it doesn't really matter to me. I just hope it comes back and it's been given the respect and the budget that a title like that deserves.
Well, I mean, the one thing that, look, you have to look at it. First of all, Perfect Dark debuted in 2000. Okay, we're right. So we're 19 years removed from the original release of the N64, which is just, it's amazing how time flies, right? It also proves how really old I am, which is that's a podcast in itself. So then you go back and you talk about, well, then what was the next game after that? 5 years later, 2005 was the follow-up. So it's now 14 years removed from a very popular IP that has been laying dormant. And you said something really important. We're in a space in gaming where the female demographic is almost equal to as many as guys play, and I think that a strong female lead character. And when I talk about that, you know what, it gets me excited. I immediately think about Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. I know this is an Xbox show, but I have to tell you what I think about when I think about a strong female character that's new. That's a new IP. And Perfect Dark, technically, even though it's an older IP, it's going to be a new IP for many people who are just getting into gaming now. You got to remember, there's only, 10 years is not a lot. So the same 10 years earlier, where the 9-year-olds are playing these games and they're 19 years old, they missed out on Joanna Dark. And this, like I said, she's a strong female lead character. I think they could do a retelling of her backstory, and if they make this big open world Splinter Cell-esque kind of a game, it could be one of those games as a service that offers an amazing multiplayer, right? Very similar to what made her so popular back in the days, and also give us this big world to learn about and to appreciate. I really, really hope that this is true. One of the biggest things that Microsoft does not do enough of is give their older IPs enough love. And they have so many incredible ones that have not been touched in years. And we're going to get into that too. But I'm looking forward to this. I hope that it's true. I'd like to believe that the coalition is working on something else. This is, again, they've denied it, but it was out there. You can't put a statement out there and then retract it like it's going to go away. They're working on something other than Gears. They're a big studio. And if you want to give an old IP that they can go crazy with it, they're the masters of third-person gaming, right? I mean, look what they've done with Gears. Could you imagine that kind of talent touching Perfect Dark? Holy shit, that would be great. But you know what? I want to talk about. I actually want to move on to into the next topic, Shady, if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, of course.
Comic book. You want to add something?
No, by all means, bring the show forward, my man.
Okay, according to comicbook.com, which of course is again one of my favorite sites, there's a next-gen Fable game in development. A big surprise there, folks. But you know what? There's been rumblings in the last couple of weeks as we get closer to E3 that, guess what? Playground Games is the actual development house that's going to be working on this game. And I have to say, and we talked about this earlier, Playground Games, they just know how to develop an incredible game from asshole to elbow, so to speak. Yeah, you like that, right? But boom, throwing the curse words out there. Very rare, but I'm excited. So this is where it's going. Shady, I'm going to say this. We've been hearing about Playground Games working on the supposed open world action RPG, which has been, equaled with Fable since 2017. This is what we've been talking about this almost every E3. Look, Fable, I know that you're not the biggest fan. I completely understand. It's Fable had a very unique sense of humor that a lot of people didn't dig, and I get it. But I happen to be one of those people that enjoyed every one of the games. 3 was not as good as 2, and you can go down the line. But I beat and played all 3. I really think that the Fable universe, the Fable IP, the Fable franchise is one that not only needs to come back in a roaring, lying type of fashion, but it's important to the brand. When you talk about companies, you look at Nintendo. When Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, right? They may not be the upfront and in your face characters that you think of right away, but if you've been a Nintendo fan all these years, you played Diddy Kong Racing, which was fantastic. You played Donkey Kong Country on the N64, on the SNES, and you were blown away by the incredible graphics. This franchise, it may not be Halo like to some people. It may not be Gears like to some people. It may not even be Forza like to some people. But for someone who played through all three games, who enjoyed the lore, who enjoyed the franchise, who completely is over the moon excited with the fact that we're going to get a reboot, I think it's time. More importantly, I think that this the fact that as gamers we talk about it on these shows, as content creators, as panel members of these shows, as people that come to the chat, you talk about Fable, and I think that it's now is the time for Microsoft to kind of, you don't want to give us the whole thing, I get it, but you got to let us know what's going on. I think it's going to be a travesty of justice if we don't get a teaser trailer of some sorts. I don't care if it's someone kicking a chicken. I don't care. I don't care if it says chicken chaser. You hear the announcer say chicken chaser and everyone goes crazy. That's fine too. But you got to let us know that A, it's in development, and B, who is making the game. Shady, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do. Some details would be nice. Like we said earlier, the rumors have been circulating for just so long. Either come out and say what's going on here or squash it. One of the two, because we have been guessing for just so long, and I'm not a fan of just doing that in perpetuity. Perpetuality here. Like I would like some details. I hope whatever they do bring does satisfy the established fan base. Like I really do hope that they bring something out, and all those guys that just love Fable like yourself have something to grab onto and be like, oh yeah, there it is. Like they nailed, maybe it was the humor for you, or maybe it was all the decision making. I mean, I know there's people I've spoken to that they spent a lot of their time out in the world collecting as many STDs as they could get their grubby little dirty hands on. That was fun for them, and that's totally fine. Like I don't care why a game is fun for somebody as long as they're having fun with it. And I really do hope that they can bring back some of that magic that people found in the past while making it feel new for people like myself, and for people, even the established fan base that doesn't necessarily just want more of the same. They would like to see what worked for them and build it up. Because like you said, it's been a long time. We have an entire new gen here, and we're coming up on another one right around the corner, that they can really just blow us away on the amount of detail, the interactions in the worlds, storytelling. All of it can just be increased so much more than it was. So like I'm excited. I'm also a little bit grounded just because of my history with the franchise. Not
well,
being,
can I ask you another question before you finish? Because this is gonna roll into exactly what you're saying. I've said this. I've gotten some boos from it, but I'm okay with boos. No, it's not a problem. What I would love to see in my new Fable was take Fable, right? Take what they did great in The Witcher 3, especially with their DLC, and make a Witcher 3-esque Fable, open world, side missions out the yin yang, and just big world. Now, again, I understand a lot of people say if you take away the British kind of humor that it had, it would pull away from what we know as Fable. But folks, I have to say this: as much as I appreciated that humor, I want an adult-themed, story-driven, deep customization kind of a Fable. I want when they say reboot, I want this rebooted from the ground up. I want a Witcher-esque Fable. How do you feel about that, Shady?
That would be probably more up my alley. I'm not, super high on British comedy myself, but I know that was a big endearing part of the game for a lot of people. I think there's room for an adult looking violent game that still has an undercurrent of humor, especially dry British humor. Like look at the Quest for the Holy Grail from Monty Python with the Black Knight.
That's a good point.
They're chopping his limbs off, he's blood spraying everywhere, and they're joking about it the whole time. Like that is the joke. So I think there's a time and a place for adult, gritty, nasty, gnarly, violent stuff that still has an undercurrent of comedy to it, but it has to be consistent. You can't just have it out of nowhere. Like it has to be obvious that this is what the game is doing from the get-go in order for it to really land, I find, if they're going to do that type of thing. But I would definitely be on board for something that was really, really gritty and looked real. Another question I have is, just because of the name of the game is called Fable, and to me that just makes me think of, a story, just a story passed down through time. And to you, does it have to be a fantasy-driven game? You know what I mean, with the swords and sorcery and stuff like that, or could it be something totally different? Could it be an ancient civilization fable, or a fable of a underground civilization, or something like that. Just something that we talk about today that might have been, the reptilians or something. You know what I mean? Like, does it
Yeah.
have to be that fantasy that has already been established in the past? I wonder.
For me personally, I think that change is great. I agree with it, but I think that if you took Fable out of the universe, meaning magic and werewolves
Yeah.
and killer trees, or goblins and ghosts and stuff like that. If you took away the sword and the shield and the crossbows and the potions and the talking the riddle rooms with the talking faces, the stone faces that talk, I think all of that has to return to retain what Fable is. UA in the chat actually had something interesting to say. He said that you can do both. You can find a balance with both what we're talking about, dark humor, etc. And I think he's right about that. I think you can still have a playful, humor in there, but I still want a more adult themed Fable, but I also want the Fables to stay in the universe, or in the realm of what the dragons and different creatures of that nature. I wouldn't want to see like a space Fable. You know what I'm
Oh, okay. I
saying?
was gonna say, am I mistaken? Or during the first three games, time advanced, right? You started off and it was very living in huts and castles, and then by the
Yes,
third
yes.
game, it was like the Industrial
Right.
Revolution, and
Well,
there was
yes, it was like
guns and stuff.
yeah, we had guns. Yeah.
But you were
Mhm.
still fighting like werewolves and orcs and things of the like with your
Yes.
industrial. Okay, okay. I was just making sure that it wasn't something else beyond that. They just kind of shifted gears, and it wasn't, Industrial Evolution with human enemies or something like that. But if it maintains that fantasy element, I think that could be cool to keep going. I mean, even Warhammer has like orcs in space. There's
Yeah, they
nothing to say
do. They
that
do.
you
Yes.
couldn't bring all that fantasy out of the past and still have it all happening almost in a modern setting. You still have, goblins and orcs out in the wilderness of today, and we're living in cities. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what it is they do deliver, because the rumors have been circulating in Playground. I mean, man, they just do damn good looking work, and I really want this game to play good. That's my most important. Story, it
Yeah.
needs to be a good story and stuff, but I really hope the moment to moment sword fighting or magic casting, whatever it is, I hope it is just really engaging and rewarding. I don't want it to just be kind of like a generic hack and slash with a story attached, no matter how compelling, if you will.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think the story is going to be the key. I think that deep customization is big, lore is going to be big. I just like I said, I want them to really knock it out of the park, because the console, the platform, the fan base need another big AAA pillar. And I think Fable is big enough of a franchise. I mean, it had a trilogy, for crying out loud. So I think it would be considered by many an important piece to the Microsoft puzzle. But I want to move on to the next topic, and this is the original one I told you guys I wrote about. And this, of course, is going to answer J Dubs, also known as the Graphic God's question. Let me just say this: an Xbox kart racer has been rumored for years, and because E3 2019 is right around the corner, I wanted to write this original topic. Have some fun with it. As we know, as gamers, especially older gamers, there's been a ton of kart racers on a multitude of consoles. Of course, Mario Kart has seen at least 10 versions when you go back all the way to the to the Super Nintendo, when you count remasters and re-releases. Of course, there was Diddy Kong Racing I mentioned earlier, Sonic Racing, and of course the new one just dropped, looks amazing. F-Zero is another classic. Crash Team Racing, which was on the PS1, I believe, and it's being remastered, and it's going to be released this June. Look, the one thing about the Xbox brand, when you talk about it, it's known as the shooter box, right? It's all the ones with the shooters, the gears, chainsawing, and the Master Chief's, first person shooter. And I feel that the brand can have games that focus on kids. I mean, I for one would really love an original kart racing, and if I was doing the development of it, it would be called Xbox All Star Racing, and it would be developed by Rare Studios. And I mean, think about this for a second. First of all, it could have, let's just say, for instance, 15 different tracks, right? Could you just imagine a Shady for a second racing around a giant halo ring, cruising through the destroyed world of Serra from Gears of War, driving at breakneck speeds through the world of Banjo and Kazooie? I mean, look, they could even have a track or two from Hot Wheels from Forza Horizon 3. I mean, the level design is limitless at this point with so many games that Microsoft has, where they own the IPs to. And here is my list for the 15 characters that I would have in this wacky but extremely awesome racer that I would make. Okay. And Rare, you know what? My phone number is available, all my information. So if you want to hire me, I could use the job. So Rare, you want to, I'm ready to go. Here is my list of the 15 characters that I, of course, would have. And again, I'm going to ask the chat after I read it, who you would put in there. And of course, I'm going to get your opinion of Shady on who you'd bring. Here's my list of 15 characters. It'd be Master Chief and Arbiter, Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago, Banjo Kazooie, Joanna Dark, Fulgore from Killer Instinct, Conquer from Live and Reloaded, Blinks the Cat, that's an OG right there, Nathan Zachary from Crimson Skies, and Orta from Panzer Dragon Orta, Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell, because they work very close with Ubisoft, Beat from Jet Set Radio, and Stranger from Oddworld's Stranger Wrath. And I think that is a pretty damn good list because it gave me goosebumps. But I want to get your opinion, Shady. First of all, how do you like a kart racing game, original game for the Xbox One, and who would you have as a racer?
I think a kart racer would be really good, especially if it's done well, of course. Let's assume that it's done awesome, like Mario Kart 8 level of awesome. It would be fantastic. They have a lot of IP. It doesn't have to be either just for the kids, like you said. I am a big proponent of making games for the younger gen. We need to have games coming out for a younger audience to get into the hobby, damn it. Otherwise, it's going to die out with us. So, I'm all on board with having some games for the kids. But because of the IP involved, they could maybe make it a little bit more, a teen-oriented kart racer, if you will. Like, I think you nailed it on a lot of the characters you brought up. I liked how you had Blinks in there. When I first saw the topic, that was one of the characters that I brought to mind. I'm like, hey, Blinks, who remembers that? Time-traveling cat. I think that'd be pretty sweet. But I don't think 15 characters, personally, is nearly enough. If they're going to do a kart
all right.
racer,
well, listen,
I want them to go big, like really,
you want
really
like 30
big.
characters.
At least. Like, you brought up Master Chief, but I think there's a lot of room to have, and even Arbiter. Like, you could have other elites, you could have brutes, you could have grunts, you could have jackals.
Yeah, I mean, you can have Sergeant Johnson, you can have Cortana.
Yep. Marcus Phoenix and Dom. Again, you could bring in the baddies and have a grub, or
what about General Ram would be a good
General Ram, or with his cape flowing behind him as he's racing around. Or Queen Mira. Like, I think there's a lot of room for a lot of the baddies in a kart racer. When I play Mario Kart or Mario Tennis or any of them, like Mario Golf, any of that type of stuff, ever since I was a kid, I've always played as like the Koopa Troopa or the Shy Guy or one of the bad guys that you never really get to play a Mario game as. I always thought it was kind of cool to play as one of them. So I think this would be a huge part, again, where there's some cool bad guys in some of these Microsoft IP that I would like to race around with. What about the
tracks, though? Couldn't they go crazy with the tracks?
Oh, yeah, they could. It could be all out. And again, because it is what it is, it's obviously a little bit of a fantasy and, tongue-in-cheek involved. So they can blend the worlds together. They can just do so much new things.
Like, remember they had a Zelda track, right?
That would be cool. And then I'm like imagining the different types of powers that you could necessarily have. Like, you're throwing bananas and shells in Mario Kart. What are you doing in an Xbox themed kart racer? Are you throwing sticky grenades from Halo or like the grenade with the chain on it from Gears? I think it'd be a lot of fun, actually. It'd be something that I would like to see. I think my studio that I would like to do would just be Playground or Turn 10, because they just nail racing and car physics in general. I think they could arcade it up a little more and really come out and deliver big time. I think there's a market for it. Everyone else seems to have All-Stars racing game, if you will, and except for Xbox, and they certainly have the IP. And it would be awesome. I would love to see it. I enjoy those types of arcade racers myself, so that would be a surprise and a welcome one.
Yeah, no, it would be. I would be really excited. I mean, it's highly unlikely it's going to happen, but I thought it was a fun topic to bring up. Kind of just to sit there and daydream about what game I would love. I would love a real strong, an original kart racing game that kind of would rope in the teenage demographic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
That
they
in
could bring in the Battletoads again, or Jewel from
Yes,
Recore if they wanted.
yeah.
They could troll the community and have like a secret character, which was the main guy that we were going to play in Scalebound with the earmuffs.
Oh, dude,
They
that'd
could
be
the little joke.
hilarious.
They could do a lot of stuff, and I think it would be a lot of fun if, of course, if done right, which we already assumed it would be, of course, done perfectly. Well, I think it's there. I think the audience would buy it up in droves, to be honest. And with
Uh,
Game Pass now, geez, it'd be
It would be a great game to put in there, dude. And you know what? It wouldn't be one that would put them over. It wouldn't be a $50 million budget. You know what I'm saying? You can do this the right way. Give it love. Put a decent, strong AAA budget, but not one that breaks the bank. And at the same time, deliver something that the platform has never had.
that's
And
right.
and moving into the next generation, I want to see them do some new and different things.
Well, and with all these new studios they've been acquiring, I mean, I think it's safe to assume we're going to get a bevy of new IP over
Yeah.
time here. So as these newer games are coming out, maybe they can add like a new track or new characters to the game over time. So it gives reason for people to keep picking it up instead of just, getting everything they want out of it in that month and then putting it down and that's it. So there's a lot of things they could do with it if they decided to go that route, man. I really do think that it would be a success for Microsoft.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Real quick, before we move on to the next topic, Axel1324 with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, some love for my two favorite Xbox community members. Oh, yeah, the brown nosing is real. Who is your video game B? I don't know how to pronounce that. BAE. I don't know if it's Boo or what. I'm not sure.
The
But first
Bay.
of all, dude, I just want to say thanks for being here, dude. You're here all the time, and I greatly appreciate the support, and so does Shady. We love doing this, and we love the fact that we have 150 people watching live, which is great. Thank you so much. And I have to say, Rumble Foreskin, I always laugh when I say that, dude. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat. He says, which work site causes more cancer? GameSpot or Kotaku? Trick question. It's a
The
reset
woke
error.
site. Yeah, gaming's woke
Oh,
today.
whoa.
Nothing but problems with race, gender, and every other political spectrum. It's ridiculous. Not the gameplay, though. Don't talk about gameplay, just everything else.
Yeah. That's true. Actually, that's a funny. Thanks for the save on that one. But listen, let's move on to the next topic, Shady. And of course, we're going to be talking about a new MechAssault arriving at E3. And I think that, man, it is about time. I am pumped for this. We talked about a little bit about it at the beginning of the show. Listen, let me just say this. There are a lot of people in the chat that don't know. So for those who are unfamiliar with the MechAssault franchise, it was the first BattleTech game published on the original Xbox. It was developed by Day One Studios, and was published, of course, by Microsoft. The game was born when Denny Thorley of Day One Studios approached Microsoft about making an original BattleTech game built for the ground up for consoles. Apparently, Microsoft liked the idea because it was released in 2002. And of course, it had its sequel 2 years later in 2004, dubbed MechAssault Lone Wolf, which both games I have them. I actually have them displayed in my case. I love those games. I thought they were fantastic mech games, and it is a. And you said it earlier, Shady. It is a genre that seems to have been kind of passed on, so to speak. We have not seen a lot of mech games other than, like, of course, Titanfall, which is probably why I enjoyed that game as much as I did, because I was a big Mech Warrior fan, MechAssault, Mech Warrior. And listen, right now, Day One Studios is actually their name of the company is War Gaming, and their developers perhaps best known for their World of Tanks, which shipped in 2014 and is still being supported to this day, Shady. But there's been some rumblings that suggest that they're working on something new, and in fact, it could be a MechAssault revival. Shady, a new MechAssault title would be awesome, and I think Microsoft needs to add different titles, different genres to their overall, outlook for the next generation. Do you think that MechAssault fills that gap?
It would, huge. And like you said, there's just this void in video gaming in general when it comes to mech games, really. Like, I don't know how that's a thing, because personally, the idea of just climbing into this like building sized dealer of death is amazing. I love it. And we just don't have that kind of stuff. And I think the customization opportunities involved here. You can build like spider tank mechs and tank track mechs and just two-legged walking ones, flying ones. Anything goes. I want to see it with the power of today's consoles and next gen banging the door down here. It's got to happen, and it's got to just be a spectacle. I want to see physics just pushed. I want to see destruction, smoke effects. I want to be able to build my, maybe I want to mech the size of one from Anthem, just a little bit bigger than a man. Maybe you want it to be full blown like buildings and stuff. Like, really, it's endless what they could do with a franchise like this. And I think having something already called MechAssault, which again really gets that nostalgia bone, strumming for a lot of people, man. It's just kind of like, what? I haven't heard of that in a long time. And it felt good when I played it in my early 20s or late teens, what have you, right? Like, I think nostalgia is one of the only true time machines we have as a society. Anything that can make you remember what it was like to be young again is fantastic. And my God, if we just don't need something like that today, especially because there's just nothing else out there that's doing it. Like, where are our mech games? So I hope the rumor is true, and it is just phenomenal. I want to see just so much spectacle, so many physics, and so much variety with the mechs, especially. Like, I want to get my Peacock game on in this, like no other. Like, oh man, spend as much time building up my mech and customizing it as I do out in the world playing, kind of thing, and just have that many options. You can get lost into it.
I mean, well, each mech would be different, right? You can customize the mech the way you wanted. You can paint it the way you want it, and it would be your unique mech. So when people saw it on the battlefield, like, oh, that's Shady, I know him.
Yeah,
man, that's the kind of customization they need to bring back to MechAssault. I think it's again, listen, Microsoft's back catalog of IPs is stout, and it doesn't have to be Halo, Gears, or for Forza. There's so many. Listen, Crimson Skies is backwards compatible. I want you to know that if you play that game right now, it looks gorgeous running on the X. It was an amazing game. They could take a smaller studio, which there's been talk of a new Crimson Skies. As a matter of fact, Crimson Skies is one of Phil Spencer's favorite IPs.
Oh, so, baby. That was my most played Xbox Live game on the original Xbox. That was my most played. I loved it. And again, that's another genre that this generation, we're not getting a lot of flight sims or flight arcade games, like outside of that mode in Battlefield or Battlefront 1 and 2, sorry. We got nothing flying around in space, shooting other ships down. Like, what is happening? Please save us from the nothingness that is this genre, because we need these games. We really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, listen, Shady, what we're gonna do is we're past the 90-minute mark. This has been an outstanding show from start to finish. Of course, we had our difficulties. I want to thank the nearly 160 people watching live, and it's just been. I didn't think we were going to get the show off this floor, and I'm going to be honest with you, I would have been crushed. I worked real hard on this script. This is one of those 3,500 plus word ones. I mean, Shady got it, and I felt bad because he's reading it like a scroll. It's so much that I send him. And I put a lot of work in today's show because I'm excited. I'm an excited Xbox fan. I think everybody in the chat is an excited Xbox fan. And Shady, I know you are too. So we want to do the platform and the fan base justice. You're going to get that on each and every one of these shows. Of course, the Welsh Gamer, he's doing stuff. His dad turned 60 this weekend, so he's planning the birthday party for his folks. And he couldn't be here today. He will be back in the chair once again. Shady, you did an outstanding job once again. You are the savior of the show. I want to thank everybody that came out. I mean, again, you guys, this is normally a show at noon, and we did it 6 hours later, and we still got a big turnout, which I'm very, very happy about. The super chat once again, the generosity is just not to be believed. Thank you everyone for that. Shady, listen, dude, you got a lot going on. You have your own channel, but you haven't done any content. We've talked privately. I think that you have you have what it takes to make your own content and do very well at it. But for right now, you are on a lot of shows. Tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter, because I think you deserve more followers, as well as check you out on the other shows that you're on.
Sounds good, Boom. And I want to say thank you so much for having me on today. I love coming on with you, yourself, your community. It's great, man. I've always had a good time. And when I get that message, like, do you mind if you can come in and, as you put it, save the day? I mean, I'm diving into the nearest phone booth and putting my cape on, bud. I'm here for you anytime. I love it. I have a great time every single time. I'm glad that we were able to do the show today. Like you said, there was some tech issues, which we couldn't get her off this morning, but it was nice to see 160 odd people showing up on a non-advertised, non-standard time slot. That is very impressive. And thank you, everyone, for coming out and spending your time with us today. So good. My name is So Shady. On Twitter, I can be found at the Sesh Empire. That is one word. Man, we just have a good time over there. It's almost exclusively gaming. I throw a little bit of entertainment and, movies and stuff and whatnot in there. We're just there to have fun. I troll a little bit, nothing extraneous, nothing crazy, just poking fun. If I can take it, so I give it out a little bit, and that's where it is. Just fun and games. But I would love it if you could come and join me up over there on Xbox. I'm So Shady. That's 2 words. That is also my YouTube channel with no content, but I do have a surprising amount of people sitting at ground floor.
You're eventually going to get rolling on that, dude.
That's right. They're just sitting waiting for me to light this little fire under my butt, man. I've got a little bit of self-teaching to do as far as some of the tech goes. I want to do it right when I do come out and do some stuff. I want it to be entertaining at the least for the people kind enough to show up and listen. So it is coming. I do promise that. It has been something I've been thinking about for a very, very long time. And it's time to, start doing it. Stop talking about it. Basically, it's not going to do itself. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming out again and spending your time with us. Boom, you're the best, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I will be starting next Wednesday with you on the Gaming News at noon, actually. So I'm very excited with that. And then later on Wednesday night, you can catch me on Xbox Nation, and also on Friday mornings with yourself, I'm on the Breakfast with Boom podcast. So those are the 3 places each week. Otherwise, it's social media. Happy gaming, everyone. Take it easy.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here, dude. You saved the day once again. Love working with you. Love the outlook that you have on the gaming community. Yeah, sure, you poke fun every now and again, but you're not vicious like some of these other knuckleheads. The chat, once again, thank you guys and gals for being here. You power the show with, again, if we didn't have anyone to talk to, then we wouldn't have a show. So I really, really, truly appreciate everyone showing up, listening to the show, enjoying the show. The comments I get are just great. I get some nasty ones every now and again, but the good definitely outweighs the bad. I want to wish everyone a great holiday weekend. Please be safe. And of course, we will be back here, both Shady and I, tomorrow morning on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm going to be putting out the cast is just unbelievable that I have coming on to the show. Some really, really great people, great topics, a lot of original topics too that no one's talking about, which is why that show has become very popular, because it gets boring to talk about the same stuff each and every show. I'm glad I ratchet up and change things. But have a great night, everyone. Thanks again for being here, and of course your patience on today's technical difficulties, thanks to, of course, Google and YouTube, were fixed later on in the evening. So enjoy your evening, enjoy your holiday weekend, be nice to one another, enjoy gaming, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody.